Welcome back. You're watching NewsX with me, Malvika. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have signed a new mutual defense agreement, with the two sides declaring that any attack on either nation will be treated as an act of aggression against both. The deal, called the Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement, has been signed by Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif in Riyadh after Sharif travelled to Saudi Arabia at the invitation of the Crown Prince. On this, the officials of Saudi Arabia have insisted that the pact is not aimed at any specific country. I have with me Ambassador Talal Ahmed, who is the former ambassador of India to Saudi Arabia, joining me. Sir, thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us here on NewsX. We have of course been looking at this defense deal between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. How do you think that this pact, which says that any act of aggression against one country will be considered an act of aggression against both, how do you think that this sort of a pact impacts India's Gulf strategy?
The agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia is a direct consequence of the breakdown of the regional security order following the Israeli attack upon Doha. With this attack, Israel has conveyed to the region that it is capable of destroying any target across the region, whether it is the ruling leadership or their various institutions, military facilities, or visitors, official visitors who come to the country. And this attack has been done despite the fact that over the last 50 years or so, the Gulf countries' security guarantor was the United States. So what Israel has done is that it is not constrained by any arrangement that any of these countries might have with the Americans. The Americans are incapable of limiting the aggressiveness of Israel. It is in the context of this breakdown of security, that the Gulf countries are now looking at alternatives. Saudi Arabia has a very old defense relationship with Pakistan, and it has been reaffirmed with this document. We do not have any details of what is contained in it. We do not know what is the substance of the arrangement, or what will be the various trigger points at which various collaboration arrangements will be initiated and put in place. This agreement has nothing whatsoever to do with India. This sentence that you have quoted of supporting each other is a general statement. It is there in several such agreements. It is there in the NATO agreement. However, when a specific challenge ever occurs, the countries concerned evaluate what their posture should be specifically, and at that time they take a decision. That means there is no, for the foreseeable future, there is no prospect of Saudi Arabia ever aligning itself with Pakistan against India. It is not India-centric as we tend to view it from New Delhi. It is connected overwhelmingly with regard to what has been happening in West Asia. As far as Saudi Arabia is concerned, its principal enemies are, principal concerns would relate to threats from the Houthis, from the Iranians, and now possibly from Israel. This is the context, this is the background, and I would very strongly urge that this India-centric approach, which is completely misplaced, is not agitated by, it should not be agitating our various members of our community.
Well, sir, of course, but when we take a look at this relationship between the two countries, between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, we have been seeing that, Saudi Arabia has been Pakistan's economic lifeline in a sense, while on the other hand, Pakistan provides military expertise and even troops to the kingdom. So when we see the two nations formalizing these ties into this sort of a mutual defense shield, don't you think that then Riyadh effectively becomes an indirect stakeholder in Pakistan's other disputes as well, such as those with
I
India?
don't agree with that at all. One does not follow from the other. India has relations, as I am speaking to you, with Israel, with Iran, with Saudi Arabia, with Qatar, with UAE. There is no zero-sum arrangement as far as these relationships are concerned. Just because Saudi Arabia has a certain relationship with Pakistan, why should we naturally assume that all the traditional relationships that we have affirmed with the Saudis get nullified overnight? When we can have separate relationships with so many stakeholders, why can't other countries have the same relationships? With regard to Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, they were members of the same Western alliance all through the Cold War. The principal link in that Western alliance was the United States. The United States is the principal arms supplier for Pakistan and has been a principal arms supplier for Saudi Arabia. This is also during the Cold War, Pakistan used to train Saudi forces and used to maintain their equipment. And indeed, for various times, Pakistani troops were also stationed there. And yet we maintain close ties with the Americans. Americans supported Pakistan in the 65 and 71 wars. They have turned a blind eye to the Pakistani attacks on India. At various times, they have sponsored terrorism. But the United States has done hardly anything to restrain them. And yet we get agitated because of this arrangement that they have done between themselves, which has nothing to do with India. As far as India is concerned, we have very substantial bilateral relations with Saudi Arabia. We have a strategic partnership. We have a strategic dialogue at Prime Minister's level. Our national security advisors have a separate platform. Our external affairs minister has a separate platform. The armed forces of the two countries have had exercises on numerous occasions over the last few years. These have included Army, Navy and Air Force. We have a direct stake in the maritime security of the Arabian Sea and the larger Indian Ocean. So why are we so agitated about something? Saudi Arabia has a legitimate concern with regard to Israel and its behavior. It is that we should be focusing on rather than getting agitated about our border.
Well, of course. So, just one last question regarding this pact that we're seeing. Concerning the broader geopolitical situation, this pact comes just days after the Israeli strike, which targeted Hamas leaders in the neighboring Qatari capital of Doha. So, what then do you think about the timing of such a defense deal?
Let us be very objective here and look at the facts. There is no war between Israel and Hamas. There is a war between Israel and the Palestinian people. Hamas is merely an excuse. Large numbers of Hamas's leaders and many of their members have been already eliminated. Hamas chiefs have been killed in Iran. Many of them have been killed in Gaza. There is no threat to Israel from Hamas. Also, with regard to Doha, there was to the best of my knowledge, no major Hamas leader was killed. Even if this Hamas is a movement that goes back 40 years. As Biden repeatedly told Netanyahu, you cannot annihilate Hamas. Hamas is an idea. The idea flourishes because you have not addressed the issues that have given it birth and given it strength and resonance. Hamas will remain with us for several decades to come until the Israelis pursue the peace process with the Palestinians. As far as what has happened, let us read it in the right perspective. Israel does not want a ceasefire. It does not wish to participate in a political process, a peace process. It has, by attacking Doha, very calculatedly it has announced to the region that it is the hegemon, it is the military hegemon all across West Asia. This meaning has been fully understood all across the Gulf, which is why this agreement between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan has taken place. Saudi Arabia effectively is announcing that we have substantial military support available to us, that if there is any Israeli adventurism against the Saudis, they are fully capable of giving us a very sharp and swift reply. This is the message. It is a deterrence. Please note that there is no interest in the entire region for a major regional conflagration. The message is that please deter. It is a deterrence to the Israelis that your adventurism is now over. Please start behaving yourself and come to the negotiation table. That is what the agreement is all about, and that is the message that has been conveyed to Tel Aviv.
Well, of course, sir. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your perspective as well, as of course we take a look at this defense deal between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. Thank you for joining us on NewsX.
Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Let's now shift our focus to some other